Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final battle of the Triple Chin Lords. It's going to be Nurgle, led by Festus the Leech Lord, facing off against Lord Mazdamundi. So we're going to see who has the most girth under the neck. It looks like I think Festus might have him beat. But again, I don't think that Mazdamundi's portrait here is to scale. He might just overall be a little bit bigger. We'll have to find out. Now, as far as the build goes, Festus is a very, very good piece. One thing you have to watch out for, though, is he can be sniped very quickly. If your opponent has solar engines, skink chiefs up in the sky, any sort of focus fire like that, he can die super, super quick. He really doesn't like that. Again, you can see only 30 armor. His HP pool is okay. It's not like insane, but you can see here that the Beast of Nurgle is like, they're more or less like the same tankiness, and you can see Beasts of Nurgles go down pretty quickly under the wrong circumstances. But I still think that of all the champions of Chaos Lord, so we have Valkia. Valkia is very, very good. I think she's quite solid. I think Festus is among the top. I would probably say Festus is maybe number 1, followed by Valkia number 2. And then we have Azazel as 3, and then looking at your boy Village as probably one of the weaker ones, simply because he can't get the best angles for magic, and he's not like a great fighter either. He's a little bit weird, but I digress. Festus, I think, is one of the best. He has an AoE Mortis Engine and an AoE heal, and you switch between them. Now, when you do switch, there's a little bit of a cooldown to go back, so you can't just like go back and forth super crazy, but he can heal AoE, and he can also do damage AoE. Now, why his is better than Mortis Engines in many situations is because he doesn't have to be in combat. So he could be like running around and people could be chasing him and he could be like draining their life. It's very, very good. He does also have Stream of Corruption and Fleshy Abundance, being a Nurgle caster. He is an absolute monster and usually pays for himself, but I've had some games where he gets sniped really, really well. Now, for the rest of the build against the Dinos, we have Festering Stooges and Exalted Plague Bearers. The reason why I bring these against the Dinos is because they have Holy Hand Grenades. Now, if Dinos come in with some big monsters, for example, like Stegodons or Arcs of Sotek or Rev Crystals, you can use their Holy Hand Grenades to kill them super quickly. Also, that's why I have the Beast of Nurgle. I know I'm going to be in a blob fight against lizards. Typically, it's Saurus with magic and all sorts of crazy stuff. So having the Beast of Nurgle with the AoE debuffs of melee attack and speed is nice. Plus, they're also decent SEM fighters. Now, that is more or less it for this side. We're going to be summoning in more Plague Bearers. In the center, we have Chaos Warriors, and you guys are in for a treat. We do indeed have the Chosen of Nurgle. Now, these guys are awesome. You could literally just have them like recreate the 300 movie where they face infinite tides of Saurus warriors and skinks and things like that, and they're just not going to buckle. 65 melee defense poison, 120 armor. They're going to beat the brakes off Saurus. Now, the one thing that's really bad is if Mazdamundi casts like a banishment on them or a ruination of cities and it hits them. Obviously, elite units get wrecked pretty bad by magic, and that's been one of my bigger gripes with the game lately, is that it seems like elite units just get karate chopped by all this like magic, and yeah, it's a bit of a shame. They don't really get a chance to shine unless like the situation is very, very specific for them. But nonetheless, I'm hoping they can hold back the Saurus. Now, for the army of the lizards here and my opponent, it is going to be Saurus Warriors into the sunset. We have Lord Mazdamundi, a couple more Saurus, and more Saurus. And you're getting a recurring theme of what most lizardmen do in domination mode. It's just spamming these really cost-effective infantry. Pterodon Riders with the Fire Leech is kind of a cool choice at killing my infantry, and I really love this tech here from the Platypus. He's got the double Skink Chief. Skink Chiefs are excellent at sniping characters like Festus, but again, Festus can heal himself, and the Beasts of Nurgle have self-healing, so like a lot of my army is going to be durable against it, but having these guys sitting over me really does put a lot of pressure and forces me to use my healing on Festus, whereas I might want to use that on other things. So you can see here, I did switch to the healing elixirs, so Festus is going to be healing himself as well as the Beast of Nurgle, so really, really gives you nice stacking. Compared to someone like Kugath, though, Kugath has like 15,000 HP. Festus only costs about 1,800. Kugath will cost like close to 3, a little bit over sometimes, depending on what you bring. But Kugath can absorb shots very, very well. He's got 15,000 HP, so you don't have to worry as much about being sniped. And Festus is a little bit quicker. He does have 33 speed. So there's some give and take for sure. Personally, between the two of them, I prefer Dr. Festus because I think he allows you to go a little bit wider, which is better for Nurgle's playstyle. Now, obviously, Lizardmen don't want to be fighting head-on to a Mortis Engine. I like this style of play from my opponent, moving up to the high ground objective while using the double Skink Chief down here just to poke my Lord and really, really give me a lot of pressure. So the counter to this, if somebody deploys like this, what you typically want to do is just fall back with these units, let them have the objective, and then start playing the top objective if you can. So that's why I preemptively sent some Plague Bearers there. I have some Marauders of Nurgle and some Pox Riders of Nurgle going to get that side objective. So objective 1 is opened up. Dr. Festus, you know, he's trying to find somebody to sample his fine brews, but unfortunately he is being poked by those poison darts. But you can see the passive healing is not outdoing the damage, but it certainly helps out quite a bit. So as expected, lizards are going to be getting 1. I'm taking the center pretty decisively, and the lizards will be taking the top objective here with the skink cohorts, as well as the Pterodon Riders with the Fire Leech Bolas. So we'll certainly see how this goes. Festus and the Lord of the Triple Chins. Let's go ahead and like take a good look. I mean, I think his literally goes down to like his stomach. It's pretty serious, and it jiggles. Now, does Mazdamundi have the jiggling triple chin? I don't think so. Yeah, his is a little bit more Although he is kind of like a toad, right? So when he like rivets, it's gonna like kind of stick out a little bit. Okay, so there's some back and forth there. I still think Festus has got him beat though. He's got the ultimate neckbeard look. Somebody in the Discord actually put a really funny meme of Festus with like the neckbeard fedora and like the really haggard like actual neckbeard. It was so funny. Anyways, Festus here getting hit by the healing elixirs, being poked by the 2 darts, and you can see that's really starting to accrue value, and it's going to force a fleshy abundance out of me, which I really didn't want to have to do, but it is going to be the case. And this high ground objective is going to be wrecked pretty bad. The plague bearers and the toads scream it across, and some of the pterodons, of course, poking and getting ready to drop some rocks, but it is on, baby. So the holy hand grenades were unleashed on the Saurus, but now I actually use them up on the Skink Chief, and you can see one volley like brings them down super low. So the Mortis engine has been turned on, the Harbinger of Pestilence, and you can see it does drain these units. I don't have to be in combat with them. Now, Mortis engines for the vampire count, so they do damage and heal, so they do both of what Festus does in one. But Festus doesn't have to be in combat for it. So that's kind of the trade-off, which I think is a nice balancing thing. I've honestly felt that Festus isn't overpowered. He's pretty well balanced. He's very, very easy to snipe under the right circumstances with any sort of shooting. Now, this is why elite units are a big liability, because bombardments exist. So here's a Comet of Cassandor, just casually sending my elite unit down to like 20%. Granted, it is very Winds of Magic intensive, but from a positional play, I think that is more than worth it. Like, that is seriously brutal. I took a lot of damage there. And he has the high ground objective. The Mortis engines are going down. High ground's going to be going to us very decisively, so a couple Chameleon Stalkers were sent up there, but the Pox Riders are going to be cackling. Banishment going down as well. Check out these Warriors of Nurgle, dude. They are just so damn cool looking. Going to be shield bashing, applying poison, ruination of cities goes down, and I do also have the support of the Beast of Nurgle. So if Stegodon, any sort of an anti-infantry monster did come in here, the Beast of Nurgle would be an excellent tool. And honestly, if Mazdamundi gets too close, these guys are going to be able to fight and do very, very well for themselves. So you can see the battle is on. They're flopping their hands around there. They're living their best one. Festus the Leech Lord, going to be draining. You can see the Mortis engine effect should be going down, or we did switch back to the healing elixirs. Yeah, that was it. And fecundity as well, because you can see if I didn't heal, I would be dead by this point. Festus would be in the trash can, he would be having a pretty bad time, and that would be that. Now, also going to be trying to resecure my back objective. The Chaos Warriors have moved in. You can see the Chosen are putting a little bit of hurt on the Saurus, and the reason why they're actually more damaged is because of the rock drops. There was a Pterodon with a Fire Leech Bolus who did drop some rocks on them, but for the most part, these Chosen should be able to grind through the Saurus with the help of the Toad, so Nurgle now does have this 3-pronged pressure, which I think potentially could be good. But again, bombardment's very, very nasty. The Chaos Warriors there get absolutely wrecked, and they're not demons. They're not going to take it quite as well. Having a giant comet dropped on their head is, the old ones are smiling for sure. Now, finally going to be dealing with these. I did bring 2 units of Chaos Furies. I didn't feel like Furies would be super useful against Lizards, but now that I'm like seeing this game and all the Pterodons and things like that, I'm like, okay, maybe they would. And they're probably going to be able to drag down these Skink Chiefs, which we really, really need, because Festus needs to live. I mean, he really is the epicenter of the build. He's healing all these Nurgle units, and let's go ahead and just like watch him for a minute and see some of his unique animations. Of course, you guys see the blood is back in business there, which certainly will help for immersion. And yeah, big old Mazdamundi trying to get his thickness on the middle objective. Now going to be attacked by the 2 Beasts of Nurgle, so they're waddling after him. And the Festering Stooges, despite having a giant comet dropped on their head, were holding on very, very well. And the points are pretty close. Right now, I'm about to pass the Lizards. They did have a double cap on us for quite some time, but we have Marauders, as well as Plague Bears holding this, and some of my Toads did overextend the Pox Riders and are being taken to town by Feral Cold Ones, which are doing surprising amount of damage. But Saurus also have like almost 50 weapon strength, so if you're really looking for where the damage is coming from, it's probably those Saurus. But I'm going to need to be holding on to the 2 objectives, so we do reinforce this one, or at least we will in just a moment. And down here, we do have the Battle of the Thickness. Oh yeah, Mazdamundi is way bigger than Festus. He is giant. But the Beast of Nurgle plus your boy Festus should be able to get some damage on him, and that's a funny thing. I can't tell you how many Warhammer 2 battles I've seen Mazdamundi rolling around and being like, oh yeah, he's almost dead, but like he's got a ton of HP. He is extra thick. So bombardment going down there. My Nurglings almost ran into it, a little bit of collateral damage, but thankfully the Chaos Warriors with great weapons did dodge it, and these big brutes of Nurgle should be able to get in there and dominate Saurus. I mean, they have great weapons, so they'll circumvent the 60 armor, and honestly, with the poison and just their durability in general, they're going to be solid. But again, Magic's pretty scary here, as we do get a banishment ripping through our forces. Mazdamundi's being hunted down by the 2 Toads over here, which is pretty hilarious. The Beast of Nurgle trying their best. But thankfully, the Furies have been MVP. Just this one Fury unit is literally killing a Skink Chief here, and it sent the other one packing, which has really saved the life of Festus. Without that Fury, he would probably be dead right now. They would have darted him into the Shadow Realm, and he's healing capped, of course. So I'm starting to see the writing on the wall a little bit. Like over here, it wasn't going super great. He was able to push me back. He had more Saurus in reserve, and he also does send a Bastillodon up here, it looks like. So yeah, the Feral Bastillodon will help wreck my units, especially these Chosen. 69, baby! Slanesh Chosen as well, apparently. But I felt like I wasn't going to get this. Another Saurus unit, they're just so tough to break through. So I knew that I had to reinforce the top objective. And that really is a big aspect of this game mode. Like, for any of you guys who come from a tabletop background, that is such an important variable, right? If you're playing tabletop, you need to know how many units you need to send to which objective, to which table quarters, to get secondaries, things like that. And domination mode really does bring in the Warhammer tabletop vibes for sure. As here, we do have the Feral Bastillodon trying to fight, but Festus still has 1800 HP. He's got a Beast of Nurgle. The other Beast of Nurgle, I pretty much assigned permanently to chasing Mazdamundi just to kind of stress the micro of my opponent here. Not that it's that much micro, you just kind of move around every now and then. And the top objective is in a little bit of danger, actually, as the Saurus and the Stalker hordes are really starting to wear through my Marauders. So nice to have these cheap units that are shielded for Nurgle, right? So often, if you're in like a skirmisher fight, for example, you're going to be getting just blasted. But now that we have these like cheap shielded Marauders that are actually kind of durable for their cost, you can really mitigate some of that. But yeah, this is dangerous. Like, I need to hold on to this objective. So Nurglings are coming in. We got Pox Riders of Nurgle, and the capture weight is going for the Lizards right now, which is very scary. The middle is like pretty decisively ours. We have the Festering Stooges. We have like two, great weapon units. The high ground, though, is a bit of a rout. My Chosen are still fighting, but there's still just so many Lizards coming back, and the Saurus are just so tough to break. Chosen, let's take a look. 55 models. How much value have they accrued so far in the game? They've gotten about 800 value. So they cost 1,400 if I'm not mistaken. So in my experience, I think the Tzeentch Chosen might be one of my favorites. Although had these been the Nurgle Chosen with great weapons, I think maybe they would have been a little bit better here. Like, they would have been able to cut through the Saurus and probably would have paid for themselves by now. So I'm starting to think maybe the great weapon variant is the way to go. So Feral Bastillodon is broken right here. Big Chungus is going to be getting chased down by the Beast of Nurgle. We have the Festering Stooges as well as the Plague Bearers gathering up, and Festus is just going to be waddling up to the high ground because we are getting a pretty substantial lead. For Nurgle, a lot of it is like you're going to be behind on value, and often your army will dissipate as you get spread thin, but you're very tanky and you can hold those points. Chalice of Potions, and that was a huge blunder right there. Like, I felt like I was going to lose that objective, but then that Comet of Cassandora went down, and my units started to rout or run, and a lot of his units did get dragged into it, which is going to be allowing my Nurglite forces up here to break through the Saurus. We get the Toads, we get the Nurglings, and we're also going to be sending in some Furies to attack these Skin cohorts. And really, look at the damage the Furies are doing. Instantly killing 11 models. These guys pack a serious punch and also do magic damage, which again isn't like terribly pertinent here, but it can be in other matchups like Skaven. So, top objective is held by us, the big old Beast of Nurgle fighting, and that is going to be GG as we secure the two objectives. So, yeah, crazy good game, man. Because at that point, my opponent knew it was pretty much to the point where it would take him too long to get the top objective, and I could just fall back and win on the middle with Festus. But yeah, the Battle of the Triple Chins is concluded, and Festus has emerged. Only 1,400 value, but he endured well. The Chosen of Nurgle, I think the Great Weapons would be the better choice. Beasts were great, and Exalted Plague Bearers are just such a good unit. I feel like they might just be better than the Chosen, although it depends on the matchup, I guess. But like, the grenades just bring such utility, and the fact that they can get that regeneration is just so powerful, man, on the Festering Stooges. Aside from that, what I would probably change in retrospect is maybe cutting one of the great weapons from reserve and getting a couple more Furies. I felt like I needed something to deal with his Air Force and Pterodons, and yeah, who knows, man. Now for his build, pretty rad. Mazdamundi got huge value with the Comets. The double Skink Chiefs both paid for themselves. I thought the build was pretty great. Just came down to a couple little plays, and yeah, just decision making, right? Where you're sending certain units can really tip the tide of a battle, and yeah, it's awesome, man. It's very much like a game of chess. GG, well played. We'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves. The Triple Chins have departed, and that is going to be it for today.